Ken?
It is recording, yeah.
Oh, okay. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke, being bathed by the northern lights behind me. Um, we here at Global Chamber are focused in on supporting leaders to be as successful as they can be with their global business. It's not easy doing global business, particularly today. There are lots of different challenges, but what doesn't change and what doesn't go away is a constant reminder of how amazing the world is and how many opportunities there are in the world. I got kind of busy, extra busy last week on Wednesday, and my aura ring, unfortunately, I've been very calm for 2 months, and for some reason ever since I got off track, I've been very stressed according to my ring. And I've noticed that I started to laugh during periods of the day, thinking, oh my God, I am so far behind. It's not even funny. I don't know how many of you have gone through those periods of time when it's just like it's kind of crazy. And probably part of that is my own issues of control, right? I was reminded through some positive intelligence training this morning of the illusion of control in our lives. And in fact, we shouldn't be so much concerned about control. We should be just allowing things to happen much more than many of us want to do, because that's going to be a better path. And so I've used the last few days, hopefully, in my whatever that is, feeling out of control and kind of laughing at it, but ultimately kind of feeling quite uncomfortable with, as someone who wants to make an impact, finding ways to get back on track, to be able to make the changes to be more impactful going forward. That's why we started this conversation with Laura and Barry Ash. We want to be able to help leaders, all of us, struggling at different levels, to be more effective, more successful in what we're doing. And they've been amazing in terms of some of the topics they've discussed, including one of the conversations last time was around sleep. One of the another illusion sometimes we have is, well, I think I'm just going to skip out sleep for a while, and see if I can catch up on stuff. And well, not probably a great strategy, certainly for a long-term strategy. So Laura and Barry were amazing in terms of explaining a lot of that. And if you missed it, please do check that out in our YouTube channel. One of the related topics is the use of light in our ability to be more ready for the day, more creative, more innovative, more positive, and enlightened with people around us. And the use of light turns out to be one of the key factors. And so, without further ado, sorry for the long introduction.
No, never apologize.
I guess I guess this is a topic that I care deeply about and I feel very personal about. Hence the comment prior to our starting of reading the book by David Lynch. It turns out I had reserved that months ago. He passed away, I believe, earlier this year. And he, for almost 10 years, he visited a little diner outside of Pasadena, California in his early creative days. And he would go to this diner. The way he described it is he through transcendental meditation would go to places within his unified force, within his own self, that would allow him to see things in different ways. And he felt it was very reassuring to be able to do some of that in a place like a diner, because if he drifted off mentally, he could always come back to the diner for his cherry pie or his coffee or something familiar. Not that he felt like he was drifting off into something like crazy, but it's just he wanted something to hold on to. And that for almost 10 years, he visited nearly every day and had his lunch and sat and was creative in a big boy diner in Pasadena, California. So if anybody's interested in LA sometime, look me up and we'll head over to Big Boy. I enjoy it myself. It's a fun place. He talks a lot about of certainly transcendental meditation and light, and that in his case, if you've seen his films, like Mulholland Drive or Blue Velvet, they're very dark, or they explore dark topics, certainly. And he's one who talks quite a bit in books about the darkness and sadness and is not a place we
Il
want
y a
to
un gag là, hein, oui, j'arrive pas à très bien comprendre.
Oh, could you help with that, Cesar? So everybody, could you mute your mic? That would be awesome. I think I heard someone speaking French there. So going back to the light part of it, he talks at length, Laura and Barry, about being positive and finding positivity, even for those people who are artistic and are exploring the dark side of things, like he often did. He felt that by exploring the positive side, exploring the universe side of it, it was always a much better place. It's always be much more creative. People would argue someone like Vincent van Gogh, who was a tortured soul, or I think the one psychologist whose name escapes me, who also was just a sad, torn person. In the case of Vincent van Gogh, David Lynch felt like he was amazingly creative, but he probably could have been even more creative if he had been more positive in terms of exploring the positive lights. The positive light within himself. And so whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think for all of us, exploring the light within ourselves is a good thing. It allows us to see not only ourselves, but others in a better light. Just the mechanical use of light, which I think will be a lot of the discussion today, is also very beneficial. The way we enter once we wake up a room in the morning, and how we guide ourselves from point A, meaning getting out of bed and transitioning into our personal lives and our business lives, and how we use light throughout the day to be able to energize ourselves and to keep us not just awake, but innovative and thoughtful and creative and mindful, are topics that for any leader are very important. We probably don't think about the light side of things. We may think about the chair or other things, but do we really think about some of the other atmospheric issues all around us to make us as creative and thoughtful as we can be? We're going to explore that today. And who better to do that besides Laura and Barry Ash? They are totally holistic in terms of their perspectives on getting us to where we need to be, not just getting our lives in control, but taking the next level and becoming leaders that have greater impact. So thank you both for your time and sharing your expertise today. And we really look forward to learning from you today.
Oh, no, you're more than welcome. Thank you so much. And thank you for your intro. It sounds like a really interesting book. And, just to touch on those points, I love the fact that you're talking about light and dark. But we do need dark to appreciate light. And I do believe that out of every situation, something positive can happen for it. And if you're going through a really tough time, that can seem quite an atrocious thing to say and an absurd thing to say, right? But what I would always say to that is you're in the middle of it right now. You're in the learning part of it right now. It's when you come out the other side, that's when you can start to then, you know, apply those learnings to things,
Look back
isn't
and
it?
reflect on it, and every time we are in the thick of it, that's when we're going to be growing as an individual.
Yeah.
So we grow in the dark, and then we can live the life we want to. In the
I
light.
always say, you know, even on a cloudy day, right? You know, when you can't see the sun, it's really grey, the sun is always shining. The sun is always shining. It's just that the clouds kind of block it. So
The sun is the center of our little universe
it
that we
is.
live in.
It absolutely is. Right, so let's dive straight in, shall we? It's lovely to see you all here today. And we're just going to be talking about a few things to help you. We've called today Let There Be Light. I feel like Baz and I need some kind of allergenic.
Yeah. This
Like
payload's
whatever.
going on about.
Yeah, but really we want to be looking today at how you can use light to optimize your sleep, your energy, and your focus, because it is very, very important for us as human beings. Just very briefly, if you haven't seen Barry and I before, we are a husband and wife team. We are burnout specialists. We are hosts of the Stress Less Live More podcast. We're authors. We are philanthropists in every way, especially with our charity work. And yeah, my background is I started in the police force. I had 10 years and I was medically retired because I have a diagnosis of bipolar and OCD. And we've been running our business Rock Solid for 12 years now. And for me, sleep is a number one fundamental, not just for my mental health condition, but for my business, my performance, to allow me to do this here today with you all. So being able to nail my sleep is so important. It's a fundamental.
It is. And my background is I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 30 years now. I joined the prison service during that time, but I specialised as a PTI within the prison service, which is a physical training instructor, and I headed up the wellbeing department in the establishment I worked at. But as Loz says, sleep, sleep, sleep. But the one thing that governs our sleep is light. And we're going to go into that in a little bit. So light is our governing factor, which helps the fundamental sleep.
Most definitely. We wanted to give a little bit of a recap because this is part 2. So if you want part 1, then we can always send you the slides, can't we?
Doug said it's on the YouTube channel.
Pow!
Boom.
Yep, it's on the our YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube Global Chamber, and then you'll see that. And if anybody has a problem with that, please let us know.
Lovely. So last time, just to very briefly go over it, we spoke about why sleep is essential for our brain and health and our performance.
Yeah, and we looked at the 4 stages of sleep and why deep sleep matters.
Yep. We looked at how light impacts your circadian rhythm on a very basic level. We're really going to delve into that today.
And environmental upgrades for better rest.
Yes, there was 8 of them, wasn't there, that we spoke about, and they're not your kind of regular tips that you'd expect. So go and have a look at those. And then finally, we looked at daytime habits that can set the tone for quality sleep. Because 9 times out of 10, the problem isn't your sleep, it's the things you're doing in the daytime. And definitely, and light is going to be a big thing that we talk about today.
So we're going to look at today, we're going to look at the science of sleep and your body clock. We're going to look at how screen time affects our sleep. We're going to look at lighting tips for better focus for our performance. And then we're going to do some networking as well. And then we've got a little bit of time at the end for some Q&A. So start thinking about some questions that you want to ask me and Loz, and we'll see if we can help you out.
Absolutely. So first of all, let's talk about our circadian rhythm and how light actually affects our sleep. So this is kind of like a picture of the circadian rhythm. I'll just ask in the comments box, just put a yes or a no. Has anybody ever heard of the circadian rhythm before? Let us know in the comments box, a yes or a no. Oh, Stephen, I'm so sorry you asked a question. I completely missed it. How rude of me. I'm very interested in improving my wellness habits. How would you rate sleep with things like diet and exercise? Sleep is number 1.
Sleep is number 1.
100%, Stephen. Sleep is your number 1. If you don't get sleep, everything goes sideways. You haven't got the energy to exercise. You will not have the willpower to resist that coffee and that Mars bar, because your body will just be wanting those carbs. So I would absolutely say sleep is your number one fundamental. And if you have time, I would really suggest watching the first recording of this. I think you'll find it super, super useful. So hopefully that's
100%.
answered your question. So Doug says, yes, he has heard of it as well, which is awesome. So let's go into what the circadian rhythm actually does then. Baz, do you want to do this or shall I do this?
With one for one, if you want.
Oh,
I think the words circadian rhythm is really fascinating. Basically, what it means is a Latin phrase for circadian, which means around one day. It's from sunrise to sunset and sunset to sunrise.
And it's sorry.
I was going to say, I just want to do the next one because I love this. Every living organism on this planet has its own circadian rhythm. Even our flowers that grow in the garden, you can actually watch this happen. They will track the sun going round. And when the sun goes down, their petals close up. So they don't need it, they go to sleep. And when the sun rises, the petal comes up so it gets all the nutrients it needs. I just think it's fascinating.
Absolutely. Even if like now in the UK, because that's where we are, we've started noticing the birds are coming out earlier because they have their own circadian rhythm. And the circadian rhythm is basically our body's internal body clock. That's what this kind of image was back here. It's our internal body clock, and it's all governed by light. And it's almost, you know, so clockwork that it literally coordinates everything in our body throughout the day.
All our internal organs, all our internal systems, everything runs off the light that comes into our body.
Yeah, absolutely. Our digestive system, the typical timing of our meals, our endocrine system.
Blood pressure.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever traveled abroad where there's a time difference? Right? And you're not quite sure.
They don't have to travel the country.
Well, exactly.
One bit of the country to another bit of the country.
And you never really know whether you're hungry or whether you're tired. That's your internal body clock saying, I don't know what's going on, right? So this is so, so important. And it's actually located in the brain within our hypothalamus. I can never say that.
Hypothalamus.
Hypothalamus. Right. And that's where it is. And the body clock, the circadian rhythm, is very, very sensitive to light. Okay, which is going to be, you know, this is going to kind of make sense in a second. But how does it actually affect our sleep then? Well, we are actually designed to sleep when it's dark and wake when it's light. And this is why, I don't know if anyone's ever done any shift work here before. Let us know in the comments box if you have, or you know a shift worker. It's very difficult for them. I worked shifts in the police for about 10 years. And when you work shift work, we're going against our regular grain, right? And what happens is, as light starts to disappear from, you know, the sunset, from our eyes, our body starts to release a hormone called melatonin. And it's that hormone melatonin that actually makes you feel tired. And when the sun rises, cortisol takes over. And cortisol is responsible for alertness and energy. And I know cortisol gets a really bad rap some of the times, but in actual fact, cortisol is something that we all need in our bodies. And this is why natural light plays such an important role. And I've actually got a little diagram where I'll show you a little bit about melatonin. Anything you want to say on that?
No, I was to say cortisol is our stress hormone. And we give it a bad rap because we say it's associated with stress. But if we didn't have cortisols, we wouldn't be getting up out of bed in the morning.
No.
We wouldn't be having the gumption to go and make our food or put plans in or run our business. It's cortisol which actually gives us that drive to move forward and do these things.
Even, you know, if you've been sick, you know, cortisol helps you, helps repair. I'm going to go straight forward to this one because I'm on a roll with this one, Doug. So we'll fit a networking session in. Don't worry, we'll get it in there. I'm on a roll. So let's talk a little bit about melatonin then. Okay, then, because we've just spoken about that. Melatonin is fascinating, right? And we often, as humans, are so clever that we are stupid, right? We're so clever that we are stupid because when we expose ourselves to light late at night, it actually blocks the production of our melatonin. Now, it's for this reason, the reason why this is so important is because melatonin is actually produced in the pineal gland, right? Which if you was to kind of put a line straight through your eye to the pineal gland, it would be there.
Yeah, the direct line from the
Direct
eyes
line.
back into the brain.
And also a small proportion of it in our retinas, right? And so when we start to expose ourselves to light late at night when we're meant to be getting rest, our melatonin doesn't know the difference. It's like, well, what is actually going on here, right?
And I was going to say, we are giving ourselves light from these devices, from our laptops, from our TVs, our iPads, our tablets. It's all of the false light which is disrupting the production of this melatonin.
Yeah, it's what we call blue light. So I wanted to put this up so you could see the natural rhythm of what happens when we're going to bed. So if we have a look kind of here, you'll see that when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are coming up, right? And your melatonin levels are coming down. And as you go through the day, you'll see that your melatonin levels start to rise and they peak around 2 or 4 in the morning. That's when they peak, right? You can see it here. But your cortisol levels drop down. So we can see it's kind of like this undulation where our melatonin is kind of building throughout the day, and then it, gets its peak about 2, 4 in the morning, and then it takes a decline. And that's when cortisol comes in, because we need to be alert in the day. But the problem is nowadays we're exposing ourselves to so much stress, to so much false blue light, that it's causing an imbalance with these things almost, isn't it?
100%.
And I wonder how many of you recognize this.
Hands up if this is you at night time.
Do you recognize this? Sat in the dark with your screen, whether it's your phone or your laptop or your iPad. Yes.
Yeah, we all do it.
Caesar. Yes, so it's this kind of thing that is causing the trouble, because this is something called blue light. And our bodies don't know the difference between sunlight or your mobile phone, right? Our bodies have not changed since prehistoric times. It doesn't go, oh, it's okay, Baz is on his iPhone, don't worry, we'll still keep producing that melatonin.
And the thing is, when we put our phones down or our tablets down, we want to go to sleep, and our body and our brain is going, no, we don't, because we believe it's morning.
Yes.
Why am I going to sleep when you've just stimulated me with all this blue light?
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
No. So look, what's the trouble then with this blue light? And this is what blue light is. It's basically a spectrum of light that mimics daylight, basically, isn't it? So the trouble with blue light is it's in our phones, it's in our tablets, it's even in overhead LED lights that we have on, right? And it signals your brain that it's still daytime. So I don't know what your bedtime is, if you want to put in the chat box and let me know what your bedtime is. For us, it's a hard stop at 10 o'clock. We're usually in bed for 9. So let us know. So usually, about 10 o'clock, if I'm getting on my phone.
2 a.m.
Oh, Stephen, we need to talk. If you are, help me. Just reach out to us. We'll have a
10
chat.
points for Doug.
Love it. So if say for Doug, for example, if you get on your phone at 10 to 9 or whatever, your brain is going to think, oh, well, we don't need melatonin because it's daytime, so we don't need to produce that, right? And this artificial light actually confuses our body clock. And that's why late night scrolling can delay your sleep cycle. So it can delay that lovely deep sleep that we get as soon as we go off to sleep. And then that whole schedule is out of sync. I don't know if any of you have ever had a day where you've been like, right, this is my day. I've planned it out. I'm going to do this first thing, and then I'm going to do that. And then someone throws a spanner in the works. Has anybody experienced that, where a late meeting's come in or a problem's coming in, and that's it, the whole day is out of whack? This is what it's like when you are on your phone at night or on your laptop checking your emails with this kind of exposure, right?
Mhm.
And that office lighting is not always the best either.
No, that's very glaring and bright and stuff like that. But there are things that we can do to help this
Yes,
out.
yeah, definitely,
Mhm.
because we don't want to be tricking our body. So here's a few things that we can do to protect ourselves. Did you want to go one for
Yeah,
one
yeah,
on this,
yeah.
Faz?
First thing is turn on night shifts. Okay, blue light filters. We've got them on our phones nowadays. You can have filters on there. We can have blue light glasses as well, just to block all those lights.
Yeah, you can set a digital curfew anywhere between 60 and 90 minutes before bed. Okay.
And we use this one a lot. So as soon as we shut up for work, we go into sort of relaxation mode. We turn off all the main lights, and then around the house we've got Himalayan salt lamps. So they are nice orange glow, and they will go on around the house. I've got one behind me over that shoulder there. So it just takes down that pressure of the eyes, and it helps you relax down.
Absolutely. There's something called dark exposure. And Stephen, that's a great question. I will answer that in a second. And there's something called dark exposure. So dark exposure is as the night starts to go on, you start to reduce your lighting to the point where it is nice warm lamps or candles or bulbs. Just make sure you blow your candles out before you go to bed, people, okay? So it is very much called dark therapy. So about 60 to 90 minutes before you go to bed, just start to, do that. I don't know if any of you as well, if you've ever watched a sunset go down and you see those different oranges and pinks and purples and those kind of hues, your eyes just feel really nice, don't they? They feel nice and, relaxed.
It's like someone's taken them out and give them a massage.
Yeah. One thing you can do to help kickstart that's quite a weird thing to think, but anyway, Barry. One other thing you can do is as soon as you get up in the morning to kickstart your circadian rhythm is get sunlight on your face first thing. Right. And I'm going to talk a little bit in a second about how you can do that if you are currently in winter, because this is global. Hey, we might have people from Australia joining us and New Zealand. So yeah, first thing you can do, get sunlight on your face. Now, what about if it's a dark, cloudy day, like it always is here in England, not like Doug on, in sunny California. So even on a dark, cloudy day, get some sunlight on your face. Still look in the place where the sun rises, which is the sun rises in the east, sets in the west, right?
And then get some sunlight around 3 p.m.
Yes.
And you might be thinking, why do I want sunlight at 3 p.m.? And the sun will start going down, and the rays of light which are coming off the sun as it starts going down, it will change. And at the angle it's coming down at you, 3 p.m. is a really good thing to just start to chill out, and it starts to bring down the pressure in our eyes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not so bright light.
So what about Stephen's question, which is brilliant, and what about things like blue light blocking glasses? So there are these things called blue light blocking glasses, which basically you've seen them, they're either red or they are orange. So I think Bono wears them and Simon Cowell wears them. People, like these kind of people wear them. And what they do is they help to block that kind of spectrum of light. And so if you was to really get into this, you would wear yellow glasses from about 4 p.m. onwards. And then, sort of from about 7 p.m., you'd wear the red ones. So they can help a little bit.
And it's not worth watching TV with the red ones on. It just looks like a horror movie.
Yes.
Everything is just red.
One thing I will say though, what we've got to remember is if you are sat maybe on your phone in bed at night, you're like, yeah, I've got my night mode on, I've got my blue light blocking glasses on, I'm good, I'm tricking the body. What we've got to remember is it's not just about light when we're going to bed, it's about stimulus.
Routines.
Stimulus. If you're scrolling through YouTube, if you're answering emails, you're not allowing your brain to wind down in the evening and relax, right? I know that a lot of you like to play games. Again, it's kind of that level of stimulus where you've got that light in your face. I would always recommend good old pen and paper and get a nice kind of soft light that you can, I love doing, you know, word searches, something really mundane, really, really chilled. But how about falling asleep with the TV or a nightlight on? Night lights are fine because especially if they are a nice orangey glow, right? We need a nice orangey glow. So one that if you have it on in the room, it's nice and gentle on your eyes. One thing I would say, I would try and avoid falling asleep with the TV on if you can.
Yes.
Because it is that level of stimulus. We're not allowing our brain to just rest.
And the thing is, when we fall asleep when we are watching TV, everything is still stimulated. We're falling asleep because we are physically, mentally, or emotionally tired.
Yeah.
It does prevent us going into that sleep cycle. It's going to take longer for us to actually get into that deep sleep where we're going to get that regeneration and that restoration in our sleep.
Most definitely. Hopefully that answers your, you know, your what's it called? Your question. Does it matter if our eyes are closed?
What, sleeping?
No,
Because
watching the TV.
I used to sleep with my eyes open.
I know, you're weird, Mary. It's just so bizarre.
Yeah.
Does it matter if our eyes are closed?
You are. If you look at a light bulb and close your eyes, you can still see the light getting penetrated. It's a very thin layer, our eyelids, so you are going to get some penetration through there.
Yeah. So, for example, we always recommend you sleep in a dark room.
Yes.
And the reason we recommend you sleep in a dark room is because it's really great for that melatonin production. And also it helps you kick into your deep sleep. So you actually get better deep sleep when you sleep in a dark bedroom.
Even those little LED lights that tell you got a TV on mute where the little red button is, that will still interrupt that. So stick a little sticker over it or something.
Sorry, Stephen, we're not telling you the best news here today, are we? I do apologise for that. The science doesn't lie. Science doesn't lie. I love it when we actually coach people with their sleep because we end up just coaching teenagers, basically. They get stroppy with us about us telling them they need to go to bed a bit earlier and stuff, which is always fun. But thank you so much for asking these questions. They're really valid and they're really important. 100%. And I know they're going to help somebody else because I believe in science. I love it because, you know, if you're most of the time someone else is thinking those questions. So really great ones. So up next, we're going to talk about office and home lighting for daily focus. And we're going to talk a little bit about light therapy in season changes, because we are going to have a season change. We here at the moment are coming into summer, but you will eventually go into winter. And there might be some people watching this who are in winter at the moment. So this is going to be really relevant. But as promised, we're going to do a networking session. So Cesar, I don't know whether with your magic powers you could put people into a breakout room for 5 minutes. Would be amazing. If we can, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure, Laura. How many people do you think we have? We're 10 right now. So how many people per room do you recommend?
3 per room. How's that sound?
3 and a 4. 3, 4 and a 5.
Yeah,
maybe.
let's do that. Let's do that. So let me work on that right now.
I need to get my calculator out to figure that out.
Perfect.
3, 6, 4.
Okay. Yep, it's gonna be opening now. For 5 minutes, right?
You.
Yep. Buenas, buenas. Mira, no hay problema. Pues todo es con código, la llave está ahí en ese candadito. Eh, Léete todo el mensaje es largo porque tiene varias indicaciones, pero si estuviese lloviendo mucho esta tarde allá, el parque de nosotros se ve afectado. Es lunes, va a haber un montón de espacios por ahí. Cualquier cosita, verifícate el 2B o el 4G. Nada, tú me llamas, me escribes cualquier cosita. Eso no es menos.
Sí te quería conocer, qué placer tan enorme, que la pasen bien. Usted no se va a despedir de su tío, hija. Soy el fuego.
Hombre, muchísimo gusto, tanto gusto de hablarle. Lo único que sí le va a pedir encarecidamente es que me cuide la niña por el bien suyo y el bien de su familia. Pues que se llama usted.
¿Para qué, tío?
No, lo que pasa es que yo lo quiero invitar a una fiestecita en la gente.
We're back. We were just talking about cat naps. I love it.
Yeah, if
No
you
laughing, Doug.
go to sleep regularly and you're getting a good quality sleep during the night, then and you still need a cat nap, go for it. They're really good. But if you're not getting enough sleep during the night or you're struggling to get good quality sleep, then don't have a cat nap because you're offsetting your tiredness. We want to go to bed feeling as tired as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So you can go to sleep.
Yeah. And always make sure they're anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes. Anything longer, then we're going to go into a full sleep cycle and you are going to wake up groggy. It's almost like the I can never say this word, that meditation. You almost want to be in that kind of phase where we're not going into theta or like really deep theta or delta sleep. We're kind of just, as you say, just kind of low level napping, if that makes sense. Definitely.
David Lynch for 30 years did transcendental meditation twice a day for about 20 minutes each time. So he would do it in the morning and then he did it around lunchtime. And if he didn't do it around lunch, he did or if he felt like he needed another one, he'd do it in the afternoon. But he was quite religious about it. But it was only 20 minutes to your point. So thank you for that clarification. I was wondering about nap length. Whether too long could be bad or too close to bedtime could be bad. And I think both are bad, right? Too long.
They say around 2-3 o'clock. There is something out there called a Napuccino, right? And a Napuccino is where you have a shot of coffee, you have a little nap and you wake up energized. I don't recommend it, but there is something called a Napuccino, which I thought was quite cool.
Just look at the Europeans. The Europeans, whether it's Italy, whether it's France, Spain, they will have a nap about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Siesta.
Religiously, it's called siesta.
Yeah. Right. Let's head into the next bit. I'll just check. Doug, can you see the screen okay? disapproving?
He was just enjoying
Yes.
his
Yeah, it looks great.
Napuccino.
He was enjoying your Napuccino.
Okay. So let's have a look at lighting up your day then for focus. So what can we do in the day? So we really need to be mindful about the kind of lighting that we've got in our office and in our environment, right? Because poor lighting is going to give you eye strain, headaches, fatigue, low mood, and it's going to give you wrinkles. Why? Because you're looking at the screen like this, okay, and you're like squinting at it. So poor lighting is not good for us.
Prime example, when I was in the prison service, the establishment I worked at, we had no windows in the gymnasium I worked in. No windows. So you'd go into work at 7 in the morning, you'd leave at 9 o'clock at night, and you wouldn't see daylight all day unless you went into another wing and something like that. But yeah, and that was a challenge.
Yeah.
No natural daylight coming in for the whole time.
I must admit, when I was in the police on jailer duty, so sometimes you go down and you'd look up kind of like after the prisoners that have been brought in, and there is no light down there either. And it does affect you, doesn't it? You do feel tired, you do feel groggy. So yeah, absolutely. So always, if you can, natural light, get it on you if you possibly can, right?
For me, every 90 minutes of working at my desk here, I open the window, look out the window, or I'd go down because we work from home. I'd go in the garden and just get some natural light on my face every 90 minutes to 2 hours of work. Go outside and get some natural daylight on me.
Yeah, get that desk near the window. That's a really simple upgrade, right? So that you are, there and you're getting that light, on your face, and in your eyes. One thing I really want to touch on, which I love talking about this, and especially when we talk,
it's a lifesaver for you, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when we're talking about something, when we start to go into the winter. I don't know if people have heard of seasonal affective disorder before, SAD. Sad disorder. It's basically where you can be prone to have depression in winter. And that can be shown because we're not getting enough light, right? So I really wanted to touch on this because, Doug, as we know, this is global. So there's going to be people who are going to be in Australia and everything right now. And then you guys are going to be moving over to this. So in the wintertime, you might find that you do feel a lot more tired around 3 o'clock, right? And that's because the light's going down, right? The sun's going down. And what did we say earlier? When the sun goes down, what goes up? Melatonin, right? So we will naturally start to feel more tired. And when we get up in the morning at 6 or 7 and it's dark, we don't want to get up. It's, our melatonin hasn't gone up yet.
Can you imagine living our lives in the proper cycles we should do? Without clocks, without work or anything, we just live by the sun rising and the sun setting.
I mean, I have engineered my life so that I can rise with the sun. So my body doesn't just know when to rise. But that's just me. Anyway, so what can we do when it comes to light then in the winter time? One thing we can do is we can use a light box. I don't know if anyone has seen any of these. Let me grab mine. I'll show you what mine looks like.
So light box is literally just a device where you can put on your desk, you can put it on your kitchen worktop, and you can just have this light on.
So it looks like this.
And this panel here will light up. You can change the spectrum of light. And if you're ever looking for one of these, you want it to be 10,000 or more lux. And this is just about the powerfulness of the light that's coming out.
Yeah.
And you don't just look at the light, you just put it on in the corner of the room, put it on, and 20 to 30 minutes, and you'll be feeling a different level of energy.
Yeah, definitely.
Really, really good.
I usually pop it on in the morning when I am making my breakfast. I'll have the normal light on, but I'll also have that on, and I'll have it on while I'm doing a little bit of journaling in the morning as my morning routine. You can even get these, what they call Lumi lights, which are natural lights. They kind of, wake
It's like
you
an
up.
alarm clock,
Yeah,
isn't
a bit like an alarm clock. And yeah, so 20 to 30 minutes within 1 or 2 hours of waking. Also, it's a really good energy boost. 3 in the afternoon where you're feeling a bit, and there's no light outside, whack that on 15 minutes. And I'm telling you now, I know my creativity goes through the roof. I feel more energized, and you can get these things off of Amazon for like 20, 30 quid, right?
Like I said earlier, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, get some sun on your face. If you can't, you're unable to do it, putting this light on will have good benefits from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, yeah, helps with that mood, helps with that. The one caveat to this is, okay, if you have epilepsy, if you have glaucoma, any issues with your eyes, or something like for myself, bipolar, you need to be careful about using these. This is the only caveat, okay? Obviously, epilepsy, some people can be triggered by light. Glaucoma and you know, sort of retinal detachment, obviously you need to be careful.
Very sensitive lights.
And the reason for somebody like myself with bipolar, too much light can actually send me into a mania. So again, it's so powerful, this thing, and so powerful, the chemicals that it can use, but it's a really great thing, especially when we're coming into those winter months, you know, around that kind of year. But I really wanted to touch on that because I thought it was quite important. You've mentioned alarm clocks. Does it matter the sound? I have sleep apnea. Any suggestions?
I think these alarm clocks that go wheel, wheel, like sirens going off. We don't want to be waking up with this massive jolt.
Yeah.
We want to be waking up gradually. So I've started to turn my alarm clock off now, and I've got a Whoop band, and this has got like a and it just heptackets. It just vibrates against my wrist. Now I use that to wake me up. So it's more of a gradual wake up. Keep it soft, keep it smooth.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what we use. Also in terms of sleep apnea, I mean, there are a couple of kinds of sleep apnea. Some of them can be, you know, because of snoring, or some of them can be because obviously different respiratories. So there's lots of different ones. And if you sleep with a machine, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, snoring. And so sometimes what we can do is we can practice mouth taping.
Put a little bit of tape over now.
Right, I'm not talking about gaffer tape. We're not getting there out. It's nothing like that. It's just kind of like a very little strip that goes across. And what that does is it actually stops your tongue from collapsing to the back of your throat. Because that's basically what's happening. When we snore, our tongue muscles collapse. Our mouth opens, and our tongue muscle, which is huge, actually collapses at the back of our throat and causes that friction. So when we keep our mouth shut, it can actually help with snoring.
Quick question, what brand of light have you got?
The brand of light that I have, oh, I don't know. It's Litany. But what I can do is, Doug, would it be useful if I find a light on Amazon and I send you the link and you can send it out?
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get Jen to send it for sure.
Yep, no problem.
Perfect.
I can get that done so you can all have a little look, see at that.
We'd look at that for you,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, we'll definitely have a look at that for you. Okay, Doug, I think we've got like, you know, sort of a few seconds left, 5 minutes left. And I want to make sure that, you know, we get some networking in, but I also want to make sure that we answer questions, because I think it's a really interesting subject. That's why we put stage 2 on, right?
Sure. Yeah, I think we should wrap up just so that we can get done before the top of the hour. You mentioned about the tape. Is that something that you can also send, like what an example of that is?
Yeah.
So where we can buy that?
Definitely.
It's, you know, surgical tape, like where you put over like bandages and stuff like. It's literally.
Is that all it is? Oh my God.
Yeah, micropore tape, something really simple, and it doesn't close your mouth. You can open it still. You can, and it will come apart.
Yes.
When I do it, I tend to wake up and it's stuck in my ear somewhere or in the hair somewhere. But it's just to get off to sleep, going through the nasal breathing.
That's all that is.
Yeah, you will be trying to be sold things on the internet, but you don't really need to invest in anything, you know, like that at all. You know, so it is literally, it's the micropore tape, which has got a little bit of fiber in it. I'll see if I can find some on Amazon and send it over. But all you need is a thin strip, and we don't want to be like completely shutting our mouths and, you know, zipping it up. It's just gently, it's just to stop this. But I have to tell you this as well. I suffer with a lot of acid reflux, right? Especially at night time. When I've taped my mouth, I don't get any of that at all. I don't get any of that. So it is amazing. I mean, we could go into the whole nasal breathing and stuff, but you know, we haven't.
I will say, just calm down with it, because you can get quite panicky
Yeah.
when your mouth's closed up for the first time. To just
because that's
breathe
when we
and
need
relax.
to just focus on nasal breathing.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe just do it while you're sitting, working, and just
get used to it.
get used to it that way.
Amazing. Stephen, you've asked quite a number of questions. This is a topic that must be near and dear to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're great. I apologize. I just, you know,
No, good. It's good.
I've been trying to get myself into better habits, and I know sleep is critical, and I'm just I need some help to get me over the hump. So thank you so much.
You're more than
No,
welcome.
you're more than welcome. Thank you for asking your questions, because there's a lot of people that will be watching this that will be thinking about those questions. So you're not on your own, and thank you for asking them.
For sure. Are there anything, Laura and Barry, that you'd like to say in conclusion for today's session? Really outstanding information and so critically important. A great supplement and just as good as the one that you did on sleep. So thank you so much for this information. It's going to help us a lot. Anything in conclusion?
I would be kind to yourself and make it a priority to go and get some sunlight on your face. We are so insular now. We're all at our laptops inside, and back in the day, people were really healthy because they was outside doing activities. If you can, see if you can get outside at least once a day, just to get some sunlight on you. Once a week minimum, go and do an activity where you can spend the whole or most of the day outside. Get outside, because we are outside beings, really.
They say some of the most happiest people in their jobs are farmers, and it's because they're on the land, with the land, outside in the sun. And we just don't do that as office workers, right? Running our business. I love that. Golf is a passion. Do more golf.
Yeah, do more golf.
I'll send you I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, Stephen, and I'll see if I can help you with some bits.
Yeah, sure. Such, I mean, in positive intelligence talks about you either walking or running or bicycling so that your brain is seeing different images. It helps with innovation and creativity and kind of refreshing the mind. So it's somewhat related to what we're talking about, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Definitely.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for coming today and attending, and watch for the video. If you do want to get additional information, please contact Laura and Barry directly. And if you have any issue or challenge with doing that, feel free to ask for an introduction. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Sleep well, everybody. And remember, don't be doing this at night.
Take care.
See you later. Bye. Bye.
Cheers.